Welcome back, Holistic Soul Sisters. It's me, Mandy Rose, your relational astrologer. In today's video, we're talking all about this full moon in Aries, and boy, oh boy, is it a big full moon for us to talk about. There's a lot of other planets that are involved with this full moon, so we're going to talk about that in this video. Of course, I'm going to give you some general overviews of a full moon in Aries and what that means for us, since a full moon in Aries happens every single year. But then, of course, we're going to dive into more of the specifics of this full moon in Aries happening here now in 2022. And of course, like I do at the end of all of my videos, I give you some rituals and activities that you can do around the time of this full moon to make sure that you're maximizing this energy. We have so much to talk about with this full moon in Aries, so let's go ahead and dive right in with the basics. If you have your 2022 retrograde astrology journal, you're going to go ahead and open it up to the full moon in Aries page. You will see here that the full moon is happening on October 9th at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you're going to want to go ahead and adjust that for your time zone. And in the sky, it is happening at 16 degrees of Aries. That means, we'll pull up the chart here, that the sun is actually still in Libra at 16 degrees of Libra, but the moon, which is a full moon, is in Aries at 16 degrees. Now, whenever we have a full moon, it essentially means that the sun is directly opposite the moon in the sky. The sun is in Libra. Libra is the energy of relationships. It is an energy of harmony and peace and balance. So we are currently in Libra season. But the moon, on the other hand, which is our emotions, is over in Aries, the opposite side of the spectrum. And Aries is an energy that's hot and fiery. It's the warrior, and it's all about the self. So every single year when we have a full moon in Aries, it means that the sun, our core, who we are, is in Libra, which represents relationships, partnerships, deep, intimate connections with people. But the moon, our emotions, is in the zodiac sign of Aries, which is the opposite energy. It's the energy of me and I, my wants, my desires, asserting myself, my self-worth, my drive, my passions. And so when this full moon happens, full moons are times of culmination, of things coming to fruition. It's the peaks, the endings, literally the apex point where the moon can get no brighter. Something else to understand about full moons is at night, when we go outside and we have a full moon, we can see clearly, right? It's illuminating the night sky. And so we're not tripping over branches or bumping our toes into things. We can see the truth of life. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and pull up your own birth chart, and you're gonna wanna look at Aries and Libra in your chart. Do you have any planets around 16 degrees of Libra or any planets around 16 degrees of Aries? If you do, this full moon in Aries in 2022 is going to impact you more than others. So before we dive more into the themes around a full moon in Aries, I want to give you some fun facts about this full moon that's happening. So the first fun fact about this full moon in Aries happening in 2022 is that it's considered a blood moon. A blood moon is an astrological phenomena that happens in the sky that you can see with your very own eyes. It essentially means that the moon is full before the sun actually sets. So that's what gives it that dark red tint. Now we know that the full moon is exact, meaning its brightest apex point is at 4:55 p.m. And the sunset is around the time of like 6:30, 7 p.m., depending upon where you live. And so we're going to see the full moon brightest in the sky before the sun goes down, giving it a reddish tint, making it a blood moon. Now, another thing is, if you follow me over on TikTok, one of my first videos that I posted that went viral was about blood moons and how they're referenced in the Bible. So if you haven't caught that video, head over to TikTok at The Relational Astrologer. I pinned it at the top of my profile, and I talk about how in the Bible there's a verse that mentions blood moons and how much transformation and change they bring to our lives. So again, that makes a point that this full moon in Aries is going to be a very impactful one. It's also considered a double moon. Double moons happen when the moon is full 2 nights in a row. So for 2 nights in a row in the sky, it's going to look like the moon is at its brightest point. So it gives us double ability to set our intentions, to release and clear and let go of things. So that's something you're going to want to pay attention to how you feel on the 9th and on the 10th. And the third interesting fact about this full moon in Aries happening in 2022 is that it's going to be the last full moon in Aries that we have for a couple years that's not going to be an eclipse. This is very important to note. So right now, all the eclipses are happening in the zodiac signs of Taurus and Scorpio. but that only lasts for 18 months. And that cycle is going to be over in the summer of next year, meaning that by the time we get to fall of 2023 and the full moon in Aries comes back around, the North Node of Destiny will have left Taurus and entered Aries, making next year's full moon in Aries an eclipse. And it's an 18-month cycle, so 12 months after that, in 2024, at the next full moon in Aries, it will also be an eclipse. So it will be almost 3 years before we have another full moon in Aries that's not an eclipse. Why is this important? Well, eclipses are destiny, they're changes, they're things that we are moving towards, energy that is new opportunity, new beginnings, new fresh starts in the area of our life that's ruled by Aries. So this full moon, because full moons are releasing and letting go, there's something we're being called to here and now in 2022 in the Aries area of our lives that we're needing to wrap up, let go, clear the runway for, so that we have new opportunities coming to us next year in this area of our life. Hopefully that made sense to you, but it's definitely something for us to note that what's needing to be let go. What in your life have you been holding on to tightly that you're not able to let go of easily? Or what emotions maybe are coming up? This is going to be a very emotional full moon. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute when we get into the specifics. But what emotions are coming up? What part of you is starting to become more assertive or deciding what you want as you move forward and fighting, Aries, warrior, fighting to have in your life? So big impactful full moon, we need to clear the runway, we need to let some things go, make space for new energy in the Aries area of our life. So with that, let's talk more about Aries energy. To better understand this full moon, we have to understand what does the zodiac sign of Aries represent, and that's where the moon is. Aries is the first sign of the astrological year. It goes first. So it is the energy of being brave, of being bold, of being fearless, of being spontaneous, of being a leader, right? It's, I'll go first. Let me see how it is. Almost this energy of taking risks, right? I always say Aries energy is like a toddler under 7. They're not afraid to climb up on the monkey bars, even if it's really, really tall, and fall off, and they'll climb right back up again. But they also have these toddler tantrums and meltdowns. That's how Aries can be. It's very hot, it's very fiery. And so with that fire and with that passion, we can be a little volatile, a little hot-headed. We can be a little too abrasive, a little too direct, a little too telling people how it is. So be careful around the time of this full moon that that energy doesn't erupt within you. The other thing, because Aries goes first, it's the zodiac sign of the me, the I, what I want, what I need, my desires, my wants, my boundaries, my decision for my life. And so when we get to a full moon in Aries, it's a clear, remember, illumination where the moon is as bright as it can be, shedding light on that part of ourselves. What are these desires that are coming up? Where am I at an apex point, a culmination, a peak of not asking for what I want, not demanding what I want, stepping into that self-assertion of I need to fight warrior for what I want and not people-pleasing like Libra. Now remember, when the full moon in Aries happens, it means the sun is across the zodiac, across the sky in Libra. So what does that mean? Well, we're in Libra season. So the sun is in Libra for an entire month when a full moon in Aries happens. So Libra energy is opposite of the Aries me, and it's the we. So as we're going through our lives around this time leading up to this full moon, we're very much about we energy, making relationships better, making our lives better, negotiating and agreeing and creating peace and harmony and balance in our lives. But that only works for so long, because then there's a point where we realize that we're giving too much to the other person and we have to tip the Libra scales back into balance towards us, towards ourselves. So the full moon in Aries happens in Libra season to help us tip the Libra scales back towards ourselves, to assert ourselves, right? To bring that Aries me energy back into the equation. Aries is also ruled by the planet Mars. So that makes Mars the ruler of the full moon in Aries. This is very important to note as we talk more specific about the full moon that's happening here in 2022. But knowing this, Mars represents our masculine side, the action, the doing, the making decisions, the taking initiation in our life, right? Taking that step forward with boldness and fearlessness. But with that comes a shadow energy, the toxic masculine energy, and that is where we overdo things. We overcompensate. We feel responsible for everything. We can get over aggressive or over dominating, controlling, forcing things to happen instead of going with the flow. So this is definitely something around this full moon that you're going to want to assess within yourself, is where is your masculine energy becoming imbalanced, Libra? Venus, our feminine, rules Libra, where the sun is at the time of this full moon, and Mars, the masculine, rules Aries, where the moon is. So every time we have a full moon in Aries, which happens once a year, it is always Venus, where the sun is, Mars, where the moon is, and us balancing our feminine and masculine energy, Libra being represented by the scales, a time for us to open our eyes, see brightly what is going on within our soul, where we need to rebalance the feminine and masculine within us. So hopefully that makes sense, and that sets the foundation for understanding the full moon in Aries, more specifically here and now in 2022. So let's go ahead and dive into the specifics. So with that, of course, we're going to pull up the chart here. We're going to locate where the sun is at 16 degrees of Libra, the moon at 16 degrees of Aries. We can see that each of them have their own partner, another life coach to help support the message we're supposed to be receiving at the time of this full moon. The sun has the support of Venus. We can see here in the chart, Venus is also in Libra at 13 degrees of Libra. Now remember, Venus is the ruler of Libra. She's at home here. She's so happy to be here. If you have not caught my video about Venus's journey through the zodiac the last 9 months, she has been through hell as she's traveled from Capricorn all the way till today in Libra. She is so happy to finally be here, and she's traveling with the sun through Libra almost the entire month. So at the time of this full moon, she's in support, in assistance, in her home sign of bringing us feminine energy at the time of this full moon. But we can see here across the sky, where the moon is in Aries, we have Chiron. Now, Chiron is an asteroid. He is the life coach to us that deals with our traumas, our triggers, our fears, and our wounds. And that is being illuminated by the sun at the time of this full moon. So when you're looking at the full moon on the 9th and the 10th, know that the asteroid Chiron is very, very close nearby. Now, Chiron has been here in Aries since 2019, and he will be here until 2027. So the last 3 full moon in Aries also had to deal with Chiron, but never this close. And Chiron brings to the table this ability for us to assess our fears, our traumas, our triggers, right? That masculine energy. Where are we quick to get angry? Where are we quick to get aggressive? What are the wounds within ourself? Remember, Aries rules the self. That is preventing me from creating harmonious relationships with others. Now, if you've been watching my full and new moon videos for a while, you know that when we're looking at the chart here, not only do we locate where the full or new moon is, but next we always have to look for that moon's ruling planet, because wherever that ruling planet is in the sky is giving us a clear indication of what we're supposed to be learning at this time. So we know that a full moon in Aries is ruled by Mars. So where is Mars in this chart? Well, Mars in the sky is in Gemini. We have talked about this the last 3 or 4 videos that I posted, and it's an energy that you better be getting used to, because Mars entered Gemini back on August 20th. And he typically only stays in a zodiac sign for about 6 to 7 weeks, and then he moves on. But now in 2022, he's getting stuck in Gemini for 7 months. So he is in Gemini now, and he will be here all the way until March of 2023. And this is due to the fact that he's about to go retrograde. So at the time of this full moon, Mars in Gemini is getting very irritable because he is gearing up to go into his retrograde, meaning he has to go backwards in the sky. Mars, being the masculine, is all about action and doing and moving forward and being spontaneous and being bold and risky and moving into the direction of the things that we want. But when he goes retrograde in the sky, he's not moving forward. He is so irritable, and that makes us energetically feel the same. So the part of us that wants to take action towards our dreams, that wants to make things happen, that wants to wake up full of zest and full of energy, Mars is our chi. It's our stamina. It's our life force energy, our primal instinct, our sexual drive. And now we're going to be waking up here very shortly after October 30th in a retrograde Mars where we're not going to feel vital. We're not going to feel stamina and chi, and we're going to feel sluggish. And again, it's in Gemini, which is the twins. Gemini gets a bad rap of being bipolar because the twins are hot, cold, yes, no, this, that, up, down, all the things all at once. And so you've probably already been feeling since August 20th, your chi, your vitality has been up, down, hot, cold, sometimes all within the same day, sometimes even within the same hour. And so this is something, again, like I said, we have to get used to for these 7 months. And again, it's the lesson, right? What's full moon in Aries? It's bringing up our Chiron wounds of the self, Aries, so we can assess our toxic masculine and balance it with our feminine, Libra, the scales, so we can have more harmonious relationships, Libra, right? So Mars in Gemini is forcing us to slow down, forcing us to realize that we don't need to do all the things all the time. But instead, this is a time to go inward and strategize, game plan. Mars in Gemini is game plan mode. But that's a whole nother video. We're going to have more videos about Mars in Gemini and his retrograde coming up here very shortly. If you have your 2022 retrograde astrology journal, you'll see here just a few pages after the full moon in Aries, there are 2 whole pages about Mars's retrograde in Gemini with do's and don'ts and things you can expect. I'll make a video about that very shortly. So make sure you like and subscribe and come back to check out that whole video. But for now, at the time of this full moon, we need to understand Mars is getting irritable. He is getting agitated as he's gearing up to slow down for his retrograde. The other thing that we need to note at the time of this full moon, with Mars being in Gemini, the Sun being in Libra, Venus being in Libra, and Saturn being in Aquarius, is that they're all air signs. And they're creating what we call a grand trine. So I'm going to put that here on the chart. A grand trine happens when you have planets in the 3 air signs of the zodiac. That is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And at the time of this full moon, we almost have an exact grand trine. Venus and the Sun at 16 degrees, Mars and Gemini at 22 degrees, and Saturn and Aquarius at 18 degrees. What does that mean? Air is our mind, it's our thoughts, it's our communication, it's our ideas. Right now we're thinking a lot about our relationships, right? Venus, relationships. In Libra, relationships, creating harmony and balance in our relationships. Looking at our masculine, our wounds, the things that trigger us. How do I assert myself? How do I ask for more boundaries to be met? How do I ask for more wants and needs and prioritize myself in Aries? And so this air energy is like thinking about these things. And so Saturn over here in Aquarius, he's been there for a very long time. And Saturn is wanting to create structure and discipline and routine in Aquarius, which is being innovative, which is being unique, which is being independent, doing things in a way that's genuine for the self. And so at this time, the ideas and ways that you're looking to balance your relationships and create harmony and get your needs met might be a little out of the norm, might be out of the box, might be away from tradition. But that's okay, because it's gonna work for you as Saturn is creating a new foundation and authority for you to do so in your life. So how does this factor into real time? Let me give you an example. Let's say you've been in a marriage or a relationship for a very long time. So let's say you're Venus, the feminine, and you were cooking and cleaning and a stay-at-home mom, and your partner, the Mars, the masculine, was working all the time, and now you don't want that dynamic anymore. You want it to change. But maybe your family is very traditional, Saturn. But Saturn's in Aquarius, which is the rebel, the revolutionary, doing things in a futuristic, innovative way. So now you have permission to reestablish your boundaries in your relationships, your needs and your wants, Aries, to say to your partner and assert yourself and say, hey, I want to get a part-time job. I want to go do things outside of the home. And you have this energy around the time of this full moon to be able to say that because Saturn is in a grand trine with the ruler Mars, with the Sun and Venus in Libra, creating more harmonious relationships, taking action, Mars, in the direction of this new futuristic way of Aquarius. Another way that this is completely supported at the time of this full moon is that Saturn is in a square with Uranus. Now, Saturn and Uranus have been fighting for a really long time. Saturn is structure and old school and tradition, and Uranus is about liberation and freedom and moving towards an authentic new future that feels good for yourself. And these 2 planets have been fighting for a really long time, and right now, at the time of this full moon in Aries, it is their 4th and final battle. It's the bonus round. And who's going to win? Well, in my belief, Uranus is going to win. That new unconventional ways outside of the box is the way of the future because Uranus rules Aquarius where Saturn is. So Saturn is technically at a disadvantage, but he still wants to create structure and new foundations. So we're really able at the time of this full moon with the Saturn and Uranus square, giving us the permission, Saturn, tough love dad, giving us permission and authority to move into our relationships in a new, innovative way that maybe breaks tradition, but works for us. So see what's coming up for you at the time of this full moon around those things. And again, it might be bringing up your Chiron wounds and traumas and triggers, but this is a space for us to clear them, to heal them, to address them, to assert yourself and get those things off your chest so you can heal and move towards a more harmonious Libra energy of relationships. So there's a lot of energy going on around this full moon in Aries. So hopefully this helped bring some insight, understand why maybe your energy is all over the place, maybe why you're getting volatile or hot or heated, maybe why you're having these aggressive or angry tendencies as your emotions are getting stirred when the moon is in Aries every 28 days. Our emotions, moon gets a little volatile and hot Aries. So if that's happening, understand it's Chiron addressing and bringing them up and out. Communicate them to your partner. Help assert yourself at this time. And I think there's incredible healing that's possible. Again, remember, we're meant to be clearing and purging and releasing at full moons because the next full moon in Aries is going to be eclipse. And eclipses are moments of destiny. They are fated and we have less free will. And so if you don't clear it now, the eclipse next year will force your hand and create the change that you're too afraid to make on your own. So pay attention at this time. And with that, I'm going to leave you with some ritual ideas that you can do around the time of this full moon to maximize this energy. Now remember, your new moon activities or new moon rituals can be performed 3 days before up to 3 days after a full moon. The energy is potent for that long. So if you haven't gotten a chance yet, you still have time. Now the first thing I would do around this full moon in Aries is I would definitely get some physical activity in. Physical activity is a good way to burn up the aggression, the anger, the trauma, the wounds, the emotions we've stuffed and stored down deep, deep, deep inside. The body keeps score and it remembers. Even though mentally you may not want to remember these things, the body still knows it exists. So burn it out. Go for a run, go for a walk, go play on a playground, go do an activity or a hobby that you haven't done in a really long time. Aries also represents our inner child. It's like the toddler under 7, remember? So maybe like rollerblading or bike riding or swimming or things you really enjoyed in your youth. Physical activity is going to be one of the best things that you can do around the time of this full moon. So incorporate it into your ritual somehow. If you're filling out your retrograde journal and doing a meditation or lighting some sage and clearing your home, add in a little bit of stretching or a little bit of yoga or a little bit of dancing outside in the sunshine. Those would be great activities that you can incorporate into your ritual. The second thing I would do around the time of this full moon in Aries, because there is so much air energy in the sky, is I would really take some time to journal, to think, to communicate, to speak, to get in touch with my thoughts and assess my thoughts. Are they beneficial or do they need to be removed, right? We're at this full moon, at this peak, we're letting go, we're releasing. So what is no longer serving you? What thoughts, what self-limiting beliefs are you having? Remember, Aries is the self. So what is preventing you from being you and speaking up for yourself? What is preventing you from getting your needs met? What is preventing you from having harmonious relationships? What are the stories you're telling yourself? This would be a great journal prompt is if you write down the story I'm telling myself about this problem in my life. The story I'm telling myself about relationships or why I'm not in a relationship. The story I'm telling myself about why I'm not getting healthy, right? Whatever is blocking you in your life, write down the story I'm telling myself and see what comes up. Because oftentimes it's just a story. So pay attention to that. That'd be a great journal exercise to do with your full moon ritual. The third thing you might want to do around this full moon in Aries, which is something I'm definitely going to do with Venus being in Libra and the sun being in Libra, is redecorating my home. Venus is at home in Libra, and Libra loves beautiful aesthetics. It loves beautiful home decor. It loves things that are, look very well balanced. The chairs are in perfect alignment with the sofa, or your closets are aesthetically beautiful with color coding. This is a great time to beautify your life, beautify your home, beautify yourself, beautify your wardrobe and the way that you dress. This energy of Venus in Libra isn't going to last very long. And as we move into this upcoming week of October 9th until the end of the week, this is the best week in astrology because we have the sun in Libra, Venus in Libra, and Mercury, as we can see here from the chart, is just about to move into Libra. So that's 3 planets in this harmonious, peaceful, beautifully, aesthetically pleasing Venus-ruled area of the sky. So make your life more beautiful. watch a rom-com, do something that brings out your romantic, playful, flirty nature, dress really feminine, make your home really feminine. This energy is going to help offset the anger, aggression, Mars, masculine wounds and traumas and triggers that are coming up. So try to balance that energy by incorporating Venusian kind of energy into your life. And with that, that's all I have for you for this full moon in Aries. I hope it helps you make sense of your chaos, and more importantly, I hope it helps you have better relationships. Again, as a relational astrologer, that is my goal, for you to have better relationships with yourself, understand why you're feeling certain things and not feel bad about it, and also have better relationships with other people. So I hope you guys have a good full moon in Aries. Also, I just want to give you a little update. I am not taking birth chart readings for this month due to the fact that I am writing the 2023 retrograde astrology journal. I will be picking up birth chart readings, and I already have a pretty lengthy list. So if you want to get in for a birth chart reading or an astro forecast reading, a 2023 astro forecast reading in November and December before the end of the year, go ahead and head to the description box, find the email that I link, holisticsoulsisters1111@gmail, and send an email that just simply says waitlist for birth chart reading, and let me know. Whoever is on my wait list, as soon as I open my calendar, I will be messaging you first to book an appointment. Then I will announce it on all my social media platforms. So if you definitely want to get a reading done before the end of the year to prepare yourself for the upcoming year, please let me know via email. Also, make sure you follow me over at TikTok at The Relational Astrologer, where I have more specific astrology content to help you have better relationships. All right, everyone, sending you the best love and light as we go into Scorpio season. The next video coming to you will be about the new moon eclipse in Scorpio. Going into eclipse energy, we're already feeling it, so expect massive shifts, massive changes in finances, in the areas of life ruled by Taurus, which is food, resources, our values, our assets, money, financial markets, all the things. So I'll be back with all that information, and I will catch you in the next video.